Welcome back to the Tool Crib. Today we're going to be doing a comparison between two of the newest Swisstool Spirit models from Victorinox against the tried and true Leatherman Wave Plus. So the first one here is the Swisstool Spirit MXBS. Now I got this one very early on. This was only sold in one store. I had to get this one from Singapore, and this one cost me a pretty penny to get it. But I had this one about a year ago, and now it's available to the mainstream. So you can get this one in black oxide. You can also get it in regular stainless. Next to that is probably going to be the most popular of the newest models of the Victorinox Spirits. This is the MX Clip. Now, this one is actually the MX, and you can add a clip on to accessorize any of the current Swisstool models and the previous ones as well. So, but I purchased this one with the clip, and that's why it's called the MX Clip. Otherwise, it's just the Spirit MX. And again, the tried and true Leatherman Wave Plus. We're going to look at some of the and highlight some of the advantages and disadvantages to each one of these, as well as show you some of the accessories that are available on the market to be able to add to each of these tools. So let's get started. Well, we're going to start with these in their closed positions, and we're going to look at first the Leatherman Wave Plus. So some of the advantages to the Leatherman Wave Plus. First of all, it has the 4 outside accessible tools. 2 knife blades are one-hand accessible. I like this feature about the Leatherman Wave Plus. Is something that I've always liked. So it comes with 420HC blades. You get your standard blade, your serrated blade, which also features draw cut up at the front. You get your saw, and finally the last tool, the outer tools, that is most important to me, well, probably not most important, but something I do definitely get a lot of use out of, is their file configuration. So with the file, you get a crosscut file, you get an edge file, and you get the diamond coated file. And the diamond coated file is really the file that I use more often than not in metalwork, and it comes in extremely handy on models like the Wave, Surge, various others that Leatherman has. So this is one of the features that's not going to be present in these two tools. So now we'll look at the MX, and we're just going to look at the 4 outer tools first. But I do want to highlight that one of the great things about the Spirit models is that all of the tools are outside accessible, unlike the Wave, where you have to open it up to get to some of the internal tools. So we'll look at first the 4 outer tools. So the greatest thing that the MX Clip does and the MXBS is from previous models, they have a one-handed opening blade now. And so for me, that makes the competition between these two models and the Leatherman Wave Plus a lot closer, because that's a feature that I really, really like. Now, it comes with a little bit of a downside. Because of the way they kick this out here, it sits proud of the frame itself. And so it doesn't fit into your the nice leather sheath that they have for the Spirit models. It's a little bit cumbersome. I wish they could have designed this maybe a little bit differently. It does offer a nice one-handed feature, but the blade length on here is also going to be, let me get to the other blade here. The blade length, you can see, is going to be quite a bit shorter than that of the Leatherman Wave Plus. So this may be an advantage or a disadvantage for you. I do like the fact that they have one-handed opening blade, though. That is a big plus and prevalent in both these models. So now if we go around, the next item that we have on the outside of the MX Clip, you have the scissors, and we'll look at the scissors in the Wave Plus here in just a minute, but I do like the fact that these are on the outside. The next tool is going to be your saw blade. Saw blades on Victorinox tools are really good. Same is true of the Leatherman, and they are almost identical in length. I've always found that the tooth pattern tends to cut just a little bit smoother on the Wave Plus, on the Leatherman tools, than it does on the Victorinox tools. But that's kind of subjective, and this is a very fine saw. There's nothing that bad to say about it. Just that comparing it with the Leatherman Wave Plus, I always feel like the Leatherman wins out just slightly in that department. Now we come to their file, and Victorinox does files really, really well. So they have their cross cut, they have their single cut, and instead of, you notice that we don't have a diamond file on this one like we will in the Leatherman Wave, but what we do get instead of an edge file is the tooth pattern on the front of their saws is actually a metal saw. So this will actually cut through steel. I don't want to do that on this one. These are for my collection, not ones that I use, and it will eventually wear it out. But I have actually taken a Spirit and cut through 1/4-inch solid steel rod, so it will do it. It's actually a pretty nice tool to have. A feature that you're not going to find on the Leatherman Wave Plus. Now we'll look at the MXBS. The MXBS has 2 outer blades pardon me, that are one-hand accessible. So much like the MX clip, you have the regular blade, and then on the opposite side, left-handed opening, you have this serrated hooked blade. This is more of a rescue blade. It's actually very, very sharp, and the serrations on here are extremely well done. This cuts through rope, webbing, stuff like that really, really nicely. Victorinox always does a nice job on their sharpening. And then the final 2 tools on this one are going to be your file, again with the metal cutting saw, the cross cut, and the single cut. And then the last tool is going to be your scissors. So the 2 features, or a feature that each of the newest Spirit models have, is they include scissors. But one excludes the saw blade and the other excludes the serrated blade. Now, if we open up the Wave, and we'll get to some of the interior tools, and by the way, all the tools on both of these, or all 3 of these models, are going to be locking. So that's a feature that I like within all of this lineup. So first we'll look at the scissors on the Wave Plus. And one thing I don't like about the scissors on the Wave models is that they are internal, and it takes a little extra time to get to them. They're not bad scissors, but when you're comparing them to the MXBS or the MX Clip, these are a lot easier, a lot faster to get out. These have, they both use spring bars, but the one thing that I don't necessarily like about the Spirit scissors is they're different than any of their other lineup. So any of their knife blades or their Swisstool, the big Swisstool, they just do a different style of scissor, and it doesn't really give you much depth there. It doesn't open up very wide. So that's about not even 3/8 of an inch. So where with the Wave, it will open up quite a bit larger. Now, what I will say is that the scissors on the Spirit models are a little bit sharper. They cut really cleanly through paracord, and we'll try some of that stuff out here in just a little bit. But they are limited because of the jaw opening. The disadvantage for the Wave is they're not the greatest scissors. They do pretty decent on paracord, on string, fishing line, stuff like that. But it's the extra steps to get to them is something I don't like. And because I'm a Leatherman Surge user, I'm really accustomed to having those as quick access. So it's the one disadvantage, I think, with the Wave. And I think they might do well to in future generations to even get rid of the scissors and switch that out for an awl. The next tools, we're going to just pull a couple of these out here. So another feature you're not going to find on the Spirit models is going to be the micro driver. This is reversible, has a triple aught Phillips and a very small flat driver. And then you have your 1/4-inch screwdriver pry tool, slash pry tool. And this works really, really well. This is one screwdriver that a lot of people say, you know, they're redundant because of bit exchangers. I personally feel like that should stay in there at all times. And then on the other side, we do have the bit exchanger, which uses Leatherman's proprietary bits, and we'll look at some of the accessories that go along with this a little later. But it comes with a combo number 1, number 2 Phillips, as well as a 3/16 flat driver. And then finally, we have Leatherman's combo tool for the tooling. This is can opener, bottle cap lifter, and wire stripper. Wire stripper works really well on this model, does on the Surge as well. And I actually use the wire stripper quite a bit because I do a lot of electrical repair work, and it comes in very, very handy. One thing I will say about it, when the method in which I use it is, instead of trying to push the wire into that V-notch, what I'll do is close the tool up, release this lock, and capture the wire in between the frame and the cutter so that I can kind of rotate the tool around the wire in order to score the insulation, and then it works really well for cutting through and getting it ripped off. Now, this makes a great can opener. Doesn't make the best of bottle cap lifters because of how narrow it is. And then the last feature on here, apart from the pliers, is going to be the ruler. So it comes with your 8-inch ruler or 19.5 centimeters. So that kind of, well, let's look at the pliers real quick. With the pliers, you get a very fine needle nose, and they come down to a really nice point. And with the Leatherman Wave Charge series, they do a really nice job on rounding off the edges of the pliers for a very nice set of needle nose. This also comes with regular pliers, has replaceable hard wire cutters and wire cutters. This is one feature that I do kind of like with this particular tool. Not necessarily that they're replaceable, but they have a little bit longer length on the wire cutters themselves. And then on the back of the tool, with the new Wave Plus and Charge models, you have the wire crimper that is just behind the plier head. Now we'll look at the MX and all of its tooling. So the interior tools, you get your small driver. The next one is going to be your number 1, number 2 Phillips, which gives you a lot of reach, and a lot of people like the fact that it doesn't come in a bit exchanger, that it is an independent tool, and so they find that not having to carry the accessories with a given tool is actually beneficial, and I completely understand the people that sway in that direction. And then the next tool is going to be their can opener with another flat driver. I haven't been the most proficient with this style can opener, but a lot of people really like it, and I think it's more so I'm so accustomed to the Leatherman can opener that maybe with a little bit of practice, I'd get a little better with this one. Then on the opposite side, this tool is the best tool in this. Well, I want to say it's the best tool. I like this tool so much in the Spirit model. So what we have here is a chisel, and it also comes with a separate ground edge there in the corner, which works really well for cutting through plastic hardshell clamshell packaging. So it works as a chisel and as a package opener or a cutter or a bit of a draw cutter. And then they have their arched blade here, or their curved blade, for their cable cutter. Now this is to get around or cut the sheathing off of larger electrical cable, and it's something that I do a lot. And in fact, I modified my personal EDC in order to incorporate this particular feature. And then they have their wire stripper notch here. Now their wire stripper is a little tougher for me to operate because you can't really fold this back in and cut it in the same fashion that you would with the Leatherman Wave. You really have to kind of just press it in there and rotate the tool around the wire with a little bit of thumb pressure. It's a little more inconvenient, but it works well, and it can be done fairly easily. The next tool is going to be their you have your bottle cap lifter. You have your large screwdriver, which also works as a pry tool, a light duty pry tool as well. And then this particular one here is actually a wire bender. I've never used this feature. I don't know why you would need the notch to do that. I always thought that the point of the pliers would make a much quicker and easier wire bender, but nonetheless, that's the feature that is on there. And then the last tool is a combo tool as well. Now this is one advantage, again, that the Spirit models are going to have over the Wave Plus, is that they come included with an awl, and the awl on here is a very nice sharp point awl with a reaming cut on it. And then it also includes the all-purpose hook, which can come in handy for a lot of situations. And to better utilize that, you can actually put it in this formation, give yourself a bit of a handle to be able to pull against whatever that you're trying to capture with that hook. So this is the MX clip. Now, the last thing with this one, before we get to the pliers, is the fact that it comes included with the clip. This is a nice feature. I'm really glad that Victorinox took the time to incorporate this so that you can add it to previous models of the Victorinoxes as well. Now, the pliers on this, first of all, they operate incredibly smooth. This is a Leatherman. I'll tell you this, a Leatherman will eventually break in quite nicely, but you can see that the pliers on the Wave Plus here, because I don't use this tool, they're a little bit stiff. Eventually they'll break in and work quite nicely. But the benefit that the Victorinox models have is that they operate that way right out of the factory. They are very, very smooth. Now they come with a bit of a modified tip. Not really a needle nose, not really a blunt nose, but somewhere right in between. I actually like the plier tips on here. They're a little bit more rugged. They can't get down quite as narrow as the Wave Plus model, so they're not going to be able to do quite the detail work that you could possibly with the Wave Plus. So that may be an advantage or a disadvantage for you. They do come with a very nice set of pliers, and they have their hardwire cutters and their wire cutters that are non-replaceable. Now here's the one issue I have with the Spirit models. You'll notice that in here, if I can highlight this, they actually have 2 notches there. The lower one I'm fine with. I don't know why they put that upper notch in there. I've always found that to be more of a hindrance than to be useful. So now we'll look at the MX clip. Let me get the MXBS. And the internal tools are going to be identical to that of the MX clip. So we can just fan those out and you'll see that apart from being in black oxide with the MXBS, all the internal tools are exactly the same. Now, the same is going to be true of their wire cutting capability and the plier configuration. So the difference between these is going to be in their external tooling, which we highlighted a little bit earlier. Now let's take a look at some of the accessories that you can get with each of these models. Now, one of the best features that you get with the MX clip is the fact that it comes included with the clip. Of course, this tool costs a little bit more out of the gate, so for about the same price, you can get a clip that fits for the Leatherman Wave Plus. And so it operates off of its internal tooling here, where you depress the lock mechanism for the internal tools, you slip that over, and then it locks in. And it's a very nice clip, very deep carry. So when comparing these two together, you can see that the deep carry on the Leatherman Wave Plus actually seats a lot lower than that of the Spirit model. So that could be an advantage or a disadvantage. The disadvantage is maybe that this one, while it's locked in with the tool lock, it's not permanently locked. And so that may sway your opinion one way or another. So we'll take that off. One other feature that I forgot about this, it's a little tough to get to. It's behind the saw blade, and they have, in fact, I'll just use this clip here to pull that out. So they have an integrated lanyard loop that comes with this one as well. So for those that like to tie on a lanyard, this one comes integrated. We'll just slide that back in and close this one up. Now, some of the other accessories that you can get with the Leatherman Wave Plus. So I have mine in a custom case, but you can get an accessory bit kit that works with the Leatherman Wave Plus, where you can add on 40 different bits, and then it also comes with a replaceable micro driver bit. So while these bits are not the most rugged, for medium duty tasks, they work pretty decently. In fact, I can show you on this one. I actually twisted this one, if I can get it pulled out here. My goodness, I might have to use the pliers to get it out. I actually twisted this particular bit getting on a fastener. I don't know how well that'll show up, but I should have not tried it with this particular one because it was just in there too tightly. But so there's an advantage and a disadvantage. Yes, you have more bits that you can work with. but they are a lot softer when comparing them to other types of bits. So we'll set those two to the side. The next thing that you can get with it is their standard extension. Now I like this. This is something I carry with my Surge. And let me just get the adapter out here. We can take this out. It seats perfectly into the bit exchanger, and then this will also work with the Leatherman proprietary bits out on the end to give you more reach. You can put it in your pistol grip formation here, give you a lot more torque to be able to tighten stuff down. But again, it comes back to the disadvantage or the softness of these external bits. Now, what I do in my personal is I have switched these out for, I use a double-ended WeHop bits, which fit very, very well in here. If you use a standardized bit, there's a ring that captures in the center notches of these bits, these longer bits, that holds it in there and keeps the retention. If you use a standardized quarter-inch bit, what will happen is they will seat down there very deeply, but then they can be quite hard to get pulled back out because a standard bit, and we'll just take one out of this Victorinox set real quick. The standard bit will sit very deeply, and it'll catch back here above the quarter-inch portion of this, and so to extract it, sometimes you have to get the pliers on it to get it out. So that's one disadvantage. But when used in combination with Weha's double-ended bits, it works exceptionally well. And this particular one is a number 1, number 2 Phillips, but I have a whole kit of different size bits for this extension that you can use. So while the standardized bits are kind of they're not great, but they do offer some extra functionality. You can improve them with some accessories, aftermarket accessories. So we'll take this back out, and I'll set this one here and here. The next accessory that you can get with this particular tool, apart from the clip and the extension, is the ratcheting extension. So if we set that in there, this is one of the newer tools from Leatherman, and this provides a ratchet mechanism to very quickly tighten up bolts and nuts or screws, and it actually works quite well. I've tested this one to the breaking point, which it'll pretty easily hold about 20 pounds of pressure, so that's pretty good in a little quarter-inch driver like this. And this one cost about $30. I don't remember what the cost on the regular extension is now. I think it's about $15. They changed so much lately, it's hard to keep up. So those are some of the accessories that you can get with the Leatherman Wave Plus, and we'll just kind of set these here to the side. Now with the Spirit models, first of all, the MX clip comes with the clip, but you can, if you had a different tool, you can buy the clip separately. That will work in all of the different Swisstool models. So the Spirit models have one clip, and the Swisstool models have another clip. So some of the accessories that you can get with this. Now, I don't remember if you can purchase these separately. I think I purchased this one separately, which is the ratcheting extension with the bit kit, and it has the little extension. So you have the ratchet, the extension, and the bits. So this can work in a couple of different ways. You can get it out there for longer reach for your ratchet, and this is a pretty nicely done ratchet where you can put your bits in there and use this. One of the advantages to this is you can use it external of your pliers, so you can actually take this. If you have to back up something, this is one advantage to this kind of system where the accessories are off board of the tool as opposed to being on board like the Leatherman Wave Plus. So you can use it in that configuration. You can also just give yourself more reach with the regular ratchet. There's a couple of different ways to configure this, and this is a nice accessory to go along with this particular tool. Now, the next accessory that you can get, let me just put these away real quick. The next accessory that you can get with this, there we go, is you don't have to get the ratcheting mechanism. So I'll set these to the side. This one actually came out of this model here. which is I believe this is the CS, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember for sure. But now you have just your L handle, which also has adapters on both sides to accept your bit, so you can use it lengthwise, or you can use it for more torque. You could also get this extension separately if you so chose to give yourself some more reach in the L configuration. And then the next thing that they have is the corkscrew that also includes the micro driver. This is something you'll find a lot on their knives, and the way it works is you'll set this, and this is how the clip actually locks in and holds into the Swisstool Spirit. So the way this works is you slip this in and then just push it into the notch there, and now you have yourself a corkscrew with a nice handle where the tool becomes the handle of the corkscrew. So that is a nice feature that goes along if you purchase this separately to accessorize your Spirit models. Now, so we've looked at a couple of the advantages and the disadvantages. So a couple of highlight things for me. First of all, I love the fact that the Wave has this driver, or excuse me, this file, the diamond file. I really like the fact that the Spirit models have this chisel with the package opening capability and the curved blade here. That is something that I very much like. I also think that the scissors overall are probably better than that of the Wave, though I don't necessarily care for the ones that are on the Spirit models. So the next thing that where the Wave I think has a little bit of advantage is in the pliers. Now this is really subjective because both pliers have a lot of good functionality and a lot of good use. You get a little bit more out of the Wave Plus than you do with the Spirit models, but it's really subjective. And I'll tell you, because they have the one-handed opening blade now on the MXBS and the MX clip, this is one of the advantages that the Wave Plus had over both of these tools for a very long time. But now that they offer that feature, because I use my knife blades on my multi-tool a lot, this has really closed the gap for me. Some of the accessories, Leatherman has some advantages in their accessories, but Victorinox also has some advantages in their accessories. And I just want to highlight what you can get with these tools so that you can make an informed decision about what works best for you. Well, let's try out a couple of these things and see how they fare against each other. I'll really show you in the scissors how they work against one another. Okay, so this is where I think that the Spirit models are really going to shine. So you sit that in there, and that's a nice clean cut that the Spirit has on that paracord. If we do the same thing with the Wave Plus, you can see that it tends to roll just a little bit and doesn't make a really clean cut if you're leaving it out there without putting tension on it. Now, if we hold it out here, get some tension on it, it cuts decent. It doesn't cut near on par with the Surge scissors from Leatherman, and it doesn't cut on par with the Victorinox scissors. This is one thing that Victorinox really has the advantage over Leatherman, with the exception of the Leatherman Surge, where their scissors are really far superior to those of the Leatherman model. So again, with the Spirit, you notice I don't have any tension out here on the end of this, and it just cuts right through there. But the disadvantage is that you really got to kind of push it in there in order to get it cut clean. And I can't even get it, that just a regular paracord, I can't get it cut in one cut. And that's simply because the jaws won't open big enough. So a little bit of an advantage for the Spirit model, in my opinion here. Driver capability. Driver capability on the, especially for the Phillips that we're going to speak with first. With the Leatherman, you have the bit exchanger, which gives you some versatility. With the Spirit, you have an included Phillips driver, which is on board, no extra accessories to carry for your Phillips. Also has a bit of a longer reach. So to me, I lean towards the bit exchanger, but that is subjective as well. On the files, I lean towards the Wave strictly because I get a lot of use out of the diamond file. That doesn't take anything away from the file on the Victorinox models. They are incredibly good files and work extremely well. They also come with the metal saw included, which can be a huge advantage for a lot of people. Knife blades. With the knife blade, they're both one-hand accessible. I did it again. I got the wrong blade here. With the Wave, I think it gets a little bit of advantage here. First of all, the steel is just a little bit better quality than that of the Victorinox. It offers a longer blade. It's a better slicer. It's a better cutter. Though the little bit softer steel on the Victorinox can be sharpened up to razor sharp, so it's very easy to sharpen back up. Of course, the 428C is also pretty easy to sharpen back up. I really, oh man, this is so close, but I think I lean towards the Wave because it doesn't have it, because of the thumb slot that it uses in order for its opening mechanism, as opposed to that bent and raised portion. Now, while I do like this very much on the Victorinox, I still think that the Wave has just a slight advantage. But again, the gap got a lot closer with the ability to have a one-handed accessible blade. Serrated blades, well, it really depends on what you use them for. Doesn't come included with the MX clip. Have it on the Wave, which also works as your draw cutter here on the top. And then you have the MXBS, which doesn't have the saw blade, but it does have a very nice serrated hook blade. It depends on the scenario that you're using them in. If you're using them only as a tool that you just want on board for an emergency situation, or for just standardized rope cutting, then this is a very good tool. I really like the hook portion of this. I think I might actually like this one a little bit better. I know this is a safety blade, and most people wouldn't want this, but I would actually like if they were to put a draw cut on the front of this. I think it would make it an even better blade than what it already is. So this one is really close. Obviously, the MX clip does not include this, so if this is a feature that you need, then you're going to want to sway away from that one and maybe lean a little bit more towards the MXBS. Now, when it comes down to it, these two tools here may just be what makes the difference for you. So the fact that these have an awl and they have this very nice combo tool. I really like the combo tool that comes with this, with that chisel tip, that draw cutter, cable cutter, and wire stripper included in one, and you get the added bonus of the utility hook, which none of which comes with the Leatherman Wave. So for a lot of people, that could tip the scales, because depending on how much use you get out of those features, it's to me, I love both of these that are on there. I'm grateful in the Leatherman Surge that I do have an awl, and because I like this portion of it so much, I actually integrated a similar tool into my Leatherman Surge, because I think this is a big advantage that the Spirit models have over the Wave Plus. So a lot of this stuff is subjective, but these are a couple of features. There's several different features in these two tools that you do not have in the Leatherman Wave Plus. So we looked at some of the advantages and disadvantages to each tool, some of the accessories, how you can accessorize the Wave, how you can accessorize the Victorinox, some of the different features that you'll find in the Wave Plus, like with the diamond file, that you can't find in these two tools, and also vice versa, the chisel combination tool that you can find in these tools that you can't find in the Wave Plus. So really, you can't go wrong with any of these models. They can be nicely accessorized. They all offer very good functionality. Wave has some advantages, like in the knife blade over the other two. It also has the ruler, which we didn't really highlight that much, but it has a ruler integrated into it, where the Spirit models do not have that. The operation of the Spirit models is very smooth by comparison to the Wave until it breaks in. One advantage I also want to highlight, if you don't get the Wave in the black oxide, then in fact, I think I saw it on my scissors on this tool, so let me pull this out again. You'll notice that I have a slight bit of surface rust because I don't use this very often, and just sitting in my box. Obviously, I need to oil this up a little bit, but the Wave is more apt to get light surface rust on it than the Spirit models. With the fine polish of their stainless version or the great coating of their black oxide, this is another advantage that really doesn't get talked about enough, and that is it has superior rust resistance when compared to the Leatherman Wave Plus. So those are some of the key things, key differences between these different multi-tools. I really like all three of them, and it would be a very, very hard decision if I was leaning towards a standardized multi-tool. It would be a very, very tough decision between the three. I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer here because, again, there's advantages and disadvantages to each. It's up to you to decide what features are most important to you and most beneficial to you to decide what is best for you. My name is Ben. You've been watching the Texas Tool Crib. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.